Mm. Hey y'all, welcome to the Devon A. Morris Unfiltered call-in show. Have a seat. Let's get ready. You have any questions? Come on, call in. Come on to that Discord channel. Do me a favor, get the unfiltered crew some finger snaps. We're ready to get started here. Mondays, 8 p.m. Every single Monday, we're here. I'm excited about it. Are you? Let's get this show started, y'all. The greatest Scrum show on earth. I'll see y'all soon. Enjoy. Hello. Welcome to the Unfiltered Call-In Show where we talk about Agile, Scrum, entrepreneurship, all kind of things like that. So welcome to the show. This is like show number 41, 41, something like that. So we've been rocking this year. Like season 2's been great. Looking forward to season 3 though. We're going to see what's going to happen in season 3. Anyway, if you haven't been around before, obviously, we answer questions about Agile Scrum entrepreneurship. That's what we do here. You are welcome to call in or you're welcome to drop those questions in the chat. What our agenda is pretty much, first 5 minutes, we'll go through some intros, make sure we're good to go. Talk a little bit about, just day-to-day stuff. And then we'll talk for about 10, 15 minutes about the topic. And today's topic is the biggest reasons Agile transformations fail. I got 3 things for you, and I guarantee you've seen this. I guarantee you, it's so simple. It's so simple, is what I'm saying. It's so simple, right? Simple. But anyway, we're going to talk about that for 10 to 15 minutes. And then we're going to go ahead and open the floor for questions. So somewhere about 8:15, 8:20, somewhere around that time, we'll open the floor for questions, and that's when you get to drop your questions in the chat, or you get to join us on the actual show where you can actually, call in. Now, what I normally do is I go ahead and drop that link in the chat right now. So I'll drop that link in both of my normal places. I'll drop it on LinkedIn and I'll drop it right here on YouTube to make sure that you all have that link for later. But let's talk. Here's the deal. Give me some shouts, y'all. Give me some shouts. You know how we always do this. We start off with shouts. So drop those shouts in there as we go ahead and have some conversations. And then we will go from there. Anybody that's joining the show right now, just know we got about 10, 15 minutes where we're going to get to you and start with that information. So just know you join the show right now. I got about 10, 15 minutes when we get to you because we got to talk about the topics and stuff like that first. So here's the deal. Interesting, beautiful week for me. I think I'm doing a CSM this morning. I'm looking forward to getting past this week. And then I can, hey man, do something else. Get on vacation for a little bit. I got to make sure some things are set up the rest of the year. And then just make sure the people that I got in class, man, is going to get it because they can't embarrass me on the street. You understand? They really can't because I'll have a whole fit. You understand? I really would have a whole fit. However, let's go ahead and say hi to a few people out here. Let's see. I get my normal guy. What's going on, Patrick? How you been, man? I'm good. I've been good. I'm feeling amazing. I couldn't ask for more. Went to Indiana. I went down to Bloomington, Indiana this weekend. Got snowed on. Got snowed on, man. I got snowed on. I know y'all used to it up there, but I decided to move from Chicago to Texas, so I ain't got to deal with all that. You understand? But anyway, it's good times. Hey, Zichi, how you doing now? Welcome. And yes, I have no sound at all while the little timer is going. There's never going to be any sound. You know, if you play the wrong music, they're going to strike you some kind of way. So just be careful about that. Hey, Roy, how's it going? Hopefully you have had a wonderful week. You got some great things coming up. Let's see. Archer, how you doing, man? You always around here, man. How you been, man? Hopefully life is good. Let's see. Marquita, how's it going? How's it going with you? Evie, shout out to you. Remember I did the intros last week. 2 weeks ago. Got Lizzie out here for everybody. And, Denise Z, how's it going? Continue sending those shouts because I'm going to ask you all some really good questions. What's up, Alexander? I was expecting to see as real. Let's put it that way. All right. So that being said, looks like everybody hears me well enough. Let's start having a conversation. Let's jump into the topic, right? Um, Here's the deal, right? Here's what I want to know for you all. Help me out, right? Can you drop in the chat some classic reasons that you feel like agile transformations fail? A lot of you have probably been a part of an agile transformation or two, and you've probably seen it fall dead smack on its face. Maybe you've seen that. Maybe you've seen it get to the place where it just kind of just does this level out thing and nothing ever changes. Maybe you've seen it fizzle, right? Right? Maybe you've seen that happen. I don't know. But if you've seen that happen before, what I'd like to hear from you, and I'd like for you to start throwing that in the chat for me so I can kind of see if we agree. Throw in the chat for me some of the reasons why you think agile transformations fail, right? And we'll talk about it. Let me say hi to a couple more people first. Carla, hey, how you doing now? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Travis, what's going on? Nice seeing you here. And here we go. My Yedzo, how you doing? Hopefully I said that right. If I didn't, my heart is in it, man. All right. Okay, so let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk about this for real. It's man, I have seen so many agile transformations fizzle. And one of the things that I classically say is that it's due to culture. And I will say that in a classroom setting because it's such an easy answer to provide. Because culture is such a generic term. But you know, I think that it boils down to three elements that are missing that you have to find a way to incorporate in your culture regardless, right? In your culture regardless, right? And I'm gonna talk about these things a little bit one at a time, but first let me talk about what some of you all are saying to me, right? Hey Evelyn, how you doing? How's it been going? Hopefully you're doing good. Let's see, long-term changes and it fizzles out. I mean, I see this happen like more than anything else. It fizzles out, somebody else, another executive comes in, kicks it off, 3 or 4 years later, so now what I don't see the problem fixed. Maybe you meant the problem is fixed. Oh, no, you fixed your problem. No problem. I see what you're saying. Move on. Management would prefer to follow waterfall. But is it, you know, I mean, realistically, if I'm management, would I believe you? Let's think about this. Like, would I believe that the things that you're telling me is going to work for us when you ain't got no proof? You actually have no proof that it's going. You have evidence of all these other companies that's done it, but you have no proof inside this organization that it's going to work. And I'm going to listen to you? Nah, I'm not going to do that. If my bonus is on it, I ain't listening to you. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of times we walk in the door as agilists and we expect agile to be proof. And if you go look at most agile studies, there's surveys of people that are involved in agile. That's a biased group. The next thing you can say, the other surveys I see, if you look down a little pecking order, you kind of see people who are biased paying for it. So I'm curious, right? And I get they rather follow the agile method, the waterfall method, right? But could you change that? Could you change that? I think it can be changed, right? Misalignment between strategy and execution. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I won't disagree at all with that. But I think there's a way to fix that too. And then last, I will throw this one up here, and then we'll start talking, right? Organization structure is not established. Teams are misaligned. All these are problems, right? All these are problems, okay? Now, let me just drop these three gems on you, right? I'm going to drop these three gems on you. And I mean, this is so simple, it's ridiculous. The first reason that I would posit to you why agile transformations actually fail is a lack of experimentation. That's going to be my first one. The reason why that's my first one is because if you take a look at the things that you just mentioned, like you just mentioned a couple of things, Let's go ahead and throw Travis out here, right? Travis says organization structure is not established. Teams are misaligned. For me, the way you fix that is you start running some experiments to figure out what works in this new way of working, in this new way of doing things. Okay? You know, when you think about management wanting to do waterfall, let's talk about that. An experiment doesn't change that. To me, you're probably going to have waterfall in the building. I don't know too many organizations that do 100% Scrum. I don't know any of them that do 100% Scrum. If they're not doing the traditional process, they're doing at least a Kanban or something like that, right? So the idea is that if you really think about experiments, what are we really doing from sprint to sprint to sprint? Small experiments. That's all we're really doing. It's like we're doing a scientific theory because we come in with a hypothesis, call it a sprint goal. And then once we have that sprint goal, we do the actual work, the experiment along with having a daily scrum. And then we get to the end and we do some other stuff. But that first step in the entire process, yeah, we got to make a decision to do this. But that first step in the entire process is start off with some experiments. Start off with constantly experimenting, always experimenting. As stated, I said in class, you should never be afraid to experiment. If you're a scrum master, agile coach, if you work your weight at all and you're not running any experiments, you backing up to the door. You backing up to the door to pick up your check. That's what you're doing. You backing up to the door to pick up your check. Like for real, that's what you're doing. Because I don't know how you could be a scrum master or a agile coach and you're not running no experiments. It's ridiculous. So that's a whole problem. Change it. And if you received your certification from Bearded Eagle or you're a Bearded Eagle alumni, I'm gonna be coming after you soon for not representing. Anyway, you understand my point, right? You understand my point, right? You understand my point, right? Experimentation is going to be that number one thing. And if you're afraid to experiment, you miss the whole purpose, right? Okay. The second thing aligns right with it. It aligns right with it. Because what is the reason why you're running experiments? To learn. Think about it. At the end of the sprint, what do? Learn about the product, learn about the process, do it over again. Do it over again, right? We learn at that point. We learn. And that learning part, can you just think about it? Peter Singh, Fifth Discipline, talked about learning organizations. And one of the major things that many organizations have tried to do over the years is become learning organizations. To take those lessons and do something with them. So the question is, if you're really doing an agile transformation, you should be really trying to learn. You should be really trying to learn. So you run some experiments and then you do what? You learn. Now, here's the crazy part, right? Because this third thing ties right to it. Because the third thing is to course correct. If we was working with something that was predictable, this would not be an issue, right? We go ahead and put it on an assembly line. We have some robots replace us, and they just do repeatable work all the time. Just repeatable work all the time. But, you know, Patrick says retrospect is to learn. But hey, what can be improved is the question. So we learn, and then we course correct. We have actionable things that we do. But when you think about it, think about your scrum teams. Your scrum teams incorporate these small little things that we just talked about. But does your agile transformation? Did you hear what I just said? Does your agile transformation incorporate the things that your little scrum team does? And I guarantee you, for most of you all in this room, if you think about those agile transformations that fail, they're missing one of those three elements. Guarantee you. And here's the deal. I don't care if you're traditional, you're waterfall. You can utilize this even using that method. is agnostic of that, because the only constant that exists in our world is change. And what's always going to happen with change is going to be resistance, right? And so, how do you get beyond resistance? Data. How do you get data? Run some experiments, learn something, use that data to course correct at all levels of the organization, all levels. So now you just step back and you say to yourself, "What the heck?" I mean, I know you all thought I was gonna come with something different than that, but just think about what I just said: experiment, learn, course correct. Is your agile transformation doing that? Maybe your Scrum team is, but here's the deal, right? If your Scrum teams are all doing it, then now I ask you a question: are you really doing some systems thinking? Are you really just not just looking at the parts that are doing the work and look at all the interconnected pieces that exist between those parts so you can look at the system as a whole? Guarantee that that's probably missing. Okay. And so literally when you just step back, it's not really a complicated deal. And whenever I walk into an organization, you look at the Agile Manifesto, all this stuff just says to me, it just rings to me. Experiment, learn, course correct. Experiment, learn, course correct. Experiment, learn, course correct. I mean, somebody should make a song out of that. For real, it'd be a hit. I'm telling you right now. Use my voice. Experiment, learn, course correct. See, so I tried to make it sound sexy. Didn't work. But you understand my point. Anybody, am I missing something? Am I really missing something? I mean, I was thinking about this weekend, right? Am I missing something? I don't think I am, because we can call all these things by these different names that exist. But it's really about experimenting, learning, course correcting. That's it. That's it. I don't know why y'all want to make this more complicated than what it needs to be. It don't need to be complicated whatsoever. We need to run a flipping experiment, learn from the results of that experiment, and course correct. And we need to do it again and again and again and again. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I love. Support from the community. Let's win the Grammy, man. I wouldn't mind being a one-hit wonder. I'm just saying. But you all understand what I'm saying. If, tell me, y'all, am I wrong? If you think I'm right, man, just give me a thumbs up or something like that, because I don't even know what to add to that. All I can add to that is just repeat, repeat it, repeat it, keep repeating it until you get to the place where you reach perfection. And are you ever gonna reach perfection? Whatever, whatever. You ain't gonna reach that place. So we're always on this constant journey of trying to improve. And since we're always on this constant journey of improving, this fits right into that. It fits right in there. So I mean, I don't know how else to put it, man, but I mean, that's literally what I've been thinking about, this entire, like, I thought about this weekend, right? I was talking to one of my boys, right? Came down to Dallas. We had dinner and lunch. We had lunch. And man, we just talking, man. I really said to him, man, you know, realistically, for all the agile transformations you've been a part of, have you really had anything that's changed? Because soon as you leave, soon as the coach, soon as the leadership changes, they revert and do something crazy. That's been my experience a lot of times. I won't say all the time, but it's been a lot of times. It's been just that exact experience, right? And I guarantee you, for most of you all, it ain't no different. It ain't over. It's not no different. Okay. So that being said, let me repeat this so and then we're all on the same page to make sure we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and open up the lines so you can ask questions. Again, you can throw your questions in the chat. That's a good place. I don't mind. You can go ahead and come join the show. I'm adding the actual link to the show, to the chat. So and then we're good to go. and then we're gonna kind of talk about this and keep it going. Hey, Miss Unique, how you doing? How's it going? Hopefully you're doing just fine. Okay. So that being said, let's start this off. Let's get this thing going. Let's start making this happen. I believe I got somebody here, so let me see if I can get this thing right. Let's see. There we go. Are you joining the show to have a conversation with me?
I am. Hey, Devin, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself? How about yourself? Introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jocelyn. I am from Michigan, and I work in a automotive company over here.
Well, Michigan has automotive companies for sure. if there's a place to find
Yeah.
an automotive company, Michigan is one of those places. So
So,
tell me what's going
I
on.
I really relate to what you were just saying right now with the three items of experimenting and
Yeah,
learning and really just having that continuous improvement. So I love that you said that. Um,
yeah.
Within my area, we are in the manufacturing space, so focusing a
Yeah,
little bit more on the hardware.
yeah, yeah,
It's brand new. We've been at it for 2 years, and
yeah.
the first person who kind of led this was a senior manager,
Yeah,
and he was very into the hey, let's experiment and not get
yeah.
so boxed in. Let's say doing the traditional Scrum, and
Mhm,
had a lot of different great experiments throughout. Right.
mhm,
Um, Management changed, and then our top
mhm.
management
Yes.
also changed.
Yeah.
And I kind of came into that place of being both the strategic and the tactical portion of it.
Okay.
And now it's a huge challenge just because there's so many new leaders kind of in place.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
then I feel like I'm constantly having to prove like the direction. They're kind of asking like, "Hey, why are we doing this in the first place?" And we've had a lot of really good success in some of the teams
Mhm,
that we've ran the experiments in. And now I'm
mhm.
kind of okay. What does that next step kind of look like? Am I, too ahead of myself if I think let's go through the organization? Do I continue to say let's just go from team to team? And then everything that we've read, and I'm sure many
Yeah.
people can relate, saying if you don't have leadership support, you know, you're only as good, I guess, as your experiments.
Yeah, yeah, and leadership and support is super important, right? But here's the question, right? Are you playing the role of a scrum master? Are you playing the role of a product owner? Are you a manager, a supervisor? What kind of role are you playing?
More of a supervisor.
Okay. So here's the question, right? Let's assume for a second you're not leaving. Okay. So again, leaving is always an option. Let's just assume that that's not happening. Okay.
Correct.
And let's just assume that maybe you don't get as much support as what you want to get right now. Okay. Do you actually have the freedom to continue running small experiments?
Yes.
Okay. Are you able to get the good ideas flowing through, like, your product backlog items, your requirements, getting good ideas coming through?
For some teams, yes. I think where we lack a little bit is because we are in like in a fast-paced environment. Sometimes people
Hmm.
get caught up in just doing the work, and
Yeah.
sometimes think that planning is not really work and not really value added.
Okay. Here's what I'm thinking, and this is an experiment. Okay. Um, when I was at Motorola, okay, we did something called dual track Scrum. Um, and now hear me, because this might be something you might want to try with a team, and then see what else you can do. Right. What you need for that team is a strong enough product owner, a strong enough tech person. And if it's software, you need obviously a tester or somebody can deal with the testing side of the house, right? So you need those three working hand in hand on this, right? And what you want to do is you want to do your whole Scrum thing, like you're doing it Kanban, whatever it is, do your whole thing. But what you want to do is take that little small little side team that I just gave you and run a separate track that's all about ideas. So all those great ideas that come in, what you should be doing with that dual track Scrum team is you should be what we would call minimally viable testing. It's really what an MVP should be. And if you do minimally viable testing, what you will end up in a situation is that the ideas will come into the dual track, and then you would run a small little test to get feedback, to learn. If it doesn't turn out to be something that works well, you throw it away. If it is something that the users like or whatever it is, that goes into your product backlog. So now you end up with two different product backlogs, one with all the ideas and one with validated ideas, right?
Mm.
This means that you're going to have to take a little bit of time from the team. This could be very well an impact on their velocity at some point. Okay. Now, we can lie about velocity if people want to complain about that. But the idea is that that secondary track is where you can do your experimentation to continue with the idea generation. So, and then the things that are in your product backlog are all things that are going to be more valuable. And then, as long as you understand what the return on investment is associated with those items, what you're going to find is that that validated product backlog, the things that you're going to be delivering is going to move the needle more. Now, in terms of moving the needle more, thus that's data that you can present to somebody in the company that wants to get a promotion, and they will support everything that you want you doing moving forward, and they will start championing it for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good point. I like the idea of like kind of running it in parallel portion of it.
Yeah, because and I'm not, and again, it's like you got 40 hours in a week, just carve out 5 to 10 hours for whoever's going to be doing that for them to run those experiments, right? And you might change team members here and there. You might have, all the team work on these small little experiments, but take a percentage of your sprint. And I always tell my teams to take a percentage of sprint for something, right? It could be for technical debt. It could be for the fact we had a whole bunch of defects. It could be that we need to work on some refinement stuff. But the idea is that you put yourself in that position where you're running that separate track. The one thing that management will not fight you on is on the thing that's winning the customer. They
Hmm.
won't fight you on that. They want more of that, no matter how horrible they are. They don't care about Scrum. So get it out of the way. They don't care about Agile. They care about results. And so what I want you to move toward is start thinking about, how can I get these teams to start showing that it's results? How can I get it to the place where when you think about your product backlog, you're moving beyond a concept of story points to a concept of, we deliver $10,000 of value every single sprint.
Well,
It's a
yeah.
different kind of conversation to have, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you can have that conversation, see, you can take that conversation to any part of the company, and everybody's going to understand that language, right? And so, realistically, assuming you ain't going nowhere, okay? Assuming that you still want to do an amazing job, what's going to make everybody super excited is them feeling like they're doing purposeful work, them feeling like the work that they're doing is, something that they can't replace no matter where they would go. And if you do stuff like that, you're really, really, really going to have an impact on them that is going to be, almost unbelievable, right? And then your teams, because one of the things is that, according to, there's other data beyond this, but I'm going to go real simple. You know, if you go to Drive and read that book by Daniel Pink, once you take money off the table, money is an extrinsic motivator. For cognitive workers, to people that you work with, purpose, autonomy, and mastery is what motivates them. And if you get them to now start feeling like and getting excited about the work that they're doing, about the experiments that they're running, about the future that they're trying to achieve, you're going to start to change even a way that the developers think and get everybody more excited. Everybody that's in the Scrum house would be super excited about what we're doing. But then you can take the data and start floating nuggets of data to various parts of leadership. So and then they're just like, yeah, we don't like what you're doing, but we can't deny what you're doing.
Mm. Yeah, so I guess I'm thinking because sometimes I have like within my team, right? They're part of another team, like the execution team, what we call them. And sometimes, let's say the manager might not be as how do you say, relative or as
No
engaged, let's
problem.
say, with it. But I like how you're kind of just use the team, I think, to run the experiments and bring those results. And then
Yeah,
essentially the manager somewhat would have nothing else to say.
they had no
Um,
choice, right? But then if you think about having those teams that where you're taking the life cycle of what it takes to deliver and you're splitting it, then what you want to do is you want to use cycle time. You want to use
mm,
cycle time to show how long it takes to get things through the entire operation. And then you want to identify bottlenecks. You work in manufacturing, so you understand what I'm
right.
saying. So you want to
Yeah.
find the bottlenecks and then make sure that that is in the data and that it points to a certain managers that don't agree that's not being helpful. And then that will
Mm,
help to drive them in the right direction. So it goes back to data. So now you don't, it's forget velocity. Velocity is not going to help you with that situation. What's going to help you with that situation is understanding cycle time and tack time and lead time and lag time. Those kind of things, you make a clear understanding of how requirements are flowing through these disconnected points and then where the bottlenecks are happening. And then if you can find the places where there's stoppages, like no work was done on it during this period of time, you can find a way to identify those too, right? Then you can find a way to get
yeah.
rid of those. And then once you get things where it's tight, so tight that everybody's working back to back through the entire system, now you can find different places to work with, and you can start thinking systemically, not just
Mm,
this team or that team. So realistically, it really, really is one of those things where you just want to use data to win the conversation, and again, you may not win, but you will do something extremely powerful to all the people that are working around you, because they will be, pretty much really, really excited about what's happening, especially when they get the opportunity to run experiments because, any idea that users have, you can run an experiment on, right? And then you got to find ways to start getting more of those ideas to come in. So realistically, I think you can handle it. Now, again, I'm going back to the statement of assuming that leadership is not engaged, assuming that you ain't leaving, you're gonna change it, right? Assuming you're gonna change it, right? If you start speaking with data and you get your feelings out of it,
yeah.
right? Like pull your feelings out of it because it ain't got nothing to do with you, okay? Um, and present them with the data, and then when they say no to that, then present them with two versions of the data. Here's how this looks currently. Here's how it could look if we were doing this. And present those things. And if they continue to say no, now you know this ship ain't moving nowhere.
Yeah,
You
that's
know that at the
the
point, right?
difference. No, that's a really good point because we do have that data of teams who are doing it where you can analyze to your point, like understand how much work we can do, understand where our gaps at. And then we have other
Hmm.
teams that are just we don't understand and everyone's busy and in today's day that flies, right? So
Yeah, and then here's the deal: if you start trying to get cycle time, and you present charts that show you got your team's time, I got another team's time, but this team's time is missing from this chart. That becomes a quick eyesore really fast, especially when you're making a statement of all we're really trying to do is deliver. Like there's gonna be
right.
no leadership that's gonna be mad at you trying to deliver something quicker. They're not gonna be angry at that. That's what they want from everything in the building. They want it now. And so I'm just trying to support y'all getting it now. You can almost tie that to any objective that the organization has. Like no matter what objective the organization has, you can tie getting stuff done faster to it.
Very true.
Because the normal objectives of the organization is always something so simple like we want to reduce defects, we want to increase time to market. That's normally everybody's freaking, and it don't excite nobody when you say things like that, right? So yeah, it's just really what I'm saying to you is start thinking about it like we talked about agile transformations. This is your opportunity to run experiments in a different way and to learn and to course correct that product backlog. You course correct that product backlog and get more valuable things in that product backlog, is going to have an impact. It's going to have a
Awesome.
huge impact.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was really good. A good time. Needed to hear.
Okay, so that means you got some stuff to do.
Yeah, I got some homework. That's for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, here's the deal. Make me a promise here that, at some point in the future, you come back and let us know how this stuff went. Whether it's good or bad, it's irrelevant, right? The idea is that we're all here to kind of learn and grow together. And so this community be very interested on, that concept because a lot of people haven't heard about it. And I haven't been able to do that concept a lot, in my time. But the idea is that it is a concept that's worthy of a try.
Absolutely. No, I will do. I really enjoy learning from these types of communities, and I'm glad they're out there because sometimes you just need a voice to kind of, listen to. So
Or just so simply a shoulder to cry on, right?
that too.
All right, then. I appreciate you, okay?
Have a good
Enjoy the
one.
rest of your night. All right, bye bye.
Thank you.
Everybody, that was amazing. I enjoyed that. I mean, you never know what topics are coming up. And, I'm not scripting any of this. So it's like, that was super amazing. I would have never thought about coming up with that answer. But listening to the problem is at least what I thought of. And probably another coach or trainer would come up with something different than that. But the idea is that at the heart of it, assuming that she's not going to leave, hey, we got something to move forward with, something to do. So that was really, really good. So that's amazing. So let's see. Any questions from you all? Any questions? Because one thing I don't see is people dropping questions in the chat. Or did I just do a drop the mic moment on y'all? Y'all ain't got no questions after you heard that concept? You done? You're like, I'm done. I'm done. We ain't got no more questions for today. Yeah, we got a question. So my Scrum team is more focused on quantity than quality. How do I get them to course correct? Now, when you say quantity, I'm assuming that you're referring to them trying to get as many story points out as possible. Okay. Um, Now, couple questions. I don't know. It would be great if you joined the show because this would be much easier for us to have an exchange. And if you do decide to join the show, you see the links. Just come on in. Okay. But let me talk about this from what I'm thinking, and I could be incorrect. A lot of times when people talk about quantity, they're just talking about more numbers. And a lot of times we associate with more numbers with a higher velocity. Um, and there's several ways to deal with this. And I don't know what the right answer is, but the first thing that pops to my head is um, improve the definition of done. So your definition of done is supposed to reach the quality measures that is expected of the product. And so if your definition of done includes the quality measures that are expected of the product, right? Of whatever that life cycle is that it takes to build it, then what you're doing is you're putting the team in a position that nothing can make it to the done column unless it's met a certain quality bar. That's going to automatically slow them down. You shouldn't include anything in your definition done that they can't do, but the idea is that you want to make sure that they're reaching a certain quality standards because it sounds like to me things are making it out and then it's coming back and hitting you. Another thing is better engineering practices. You know, think about concepts associated with extreme programming. So a simple one is test-driven development because you don't have to do anything special. You don't have to have no special tools to do test-driven development. You just write some tests, pass some tests, and you're good, right? That's it for test-driven development. Um, Having a safety net, some automated tests is going to help, right? It's going to help with the quality, but it could be an engineering problem. It could really be an engineering problem, and so I would think about that possibility. And again, some organizations got the tools needed to go places like the CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. Others do not, and so something simple like test-driven development is a good enough thing. How big is your stories, right? 65% of defects are classically associated with the requirements. Um, is it a requirement issue, right? It could be an understanding issue. And so there's all kinds of places you can go with this. And so it's just one of those things when you just sit back and think about it. Um, if I'm you, Carla, I would just take some of these ideas and try different things and see what works and kind of look at the defects and see if you can look at the quality issues and see if you can decrease those quality problems by applying something, one thing at a time roughly. You don't want to do a whole gang of things because then you don't know what actually had the improvement. But if you take that step, you take those steps, I think those are some good steps to start with. And I think they would lead you to other places where you can go. Um, Carla said that's good earlier, so um, uh, hopefully I've answered your question well enough. Um, More questions. Anyone got any questions, right? This will be the time to drop it in the chat. The lines are free, so you're welcome to join us on the show. Either one. Or you might say, hey, Devon, I don't want to talk about the show no more. We want to just leave. I get it. I understand, right? I'm just gonna go back to the original topic because I like that topic. Um, I always tell my scrum masters, I've, I'm a sweaty. I've probably trained 9,000 scrum masters, if not more. Um, that's a lot of people, man. Let me tell you something though. Okay, I tell every single one of scrum masters, you kind of whack if you don't run experiments. You kind of not you you can't you can be a good scrum master, but you probably never going to be a great scrum master because you don't run experiments, right? And the reason why I bring that up is because I've run into so many people that don't learn. They just don't learn for themselves. And then that impacts everyone else. So they don't have any brand new ideas. They don't not willing to try nothing, not really take a couple risks, not willing to let the team take a couple risks. You just start running to these people that's just stagnant, not in the place of continuously learning. And in order to continuously learn, I mean, for me, experiments help me to learn. Um, I mean, if I want to try a new drink at some company, doesn't matter. That's an experiment, whether I like it or not. I'm gonna learn, right? And then if I don't like it, I course correct, never go back there again, right? So it's just something for you to think about, right? Something just really plain and simple and to the point. So I mean, it's just lovely when I start thinking about the scrum masters that actually will run experiments and will do the things that are needed to help teams make that transition. It's just that once you get your team where they're really, really amazing, you probably have a little bit more time. You should be shifting your focus, right? Definitely, you should be working with the product owner. I'm assuming you're already doing that, but you should be shifting toward the organ more and more with the organization to solve problems that we collectively have. And if you can help to solve problems that we collectively have, you have an impact on the entire community at that point. Okay, and so you want to get to the place where your teams are self-sufficient. You want to get to the place where they don't need you. At least that's how I always think about it, right? I'm gonna get them to where they don't need me. Then if they don't need me, then great, I can go help out in some other arena, go help work on something else that can maybe pave the way. You know, I remember in one of my classes, Scrum Master said to me, people always come to him and ask him, what do Scrum Masters do? And I literally said to him, man, if I was you, I would say, I paved the way to make your job easier. That's it. What else is there to be said? Because to me, that's a shot. That's a drop the mic statement. Because that means I'm going ahead of you to make sure that you got a nice little clean road to go down, so you don't run into too many bumps, too many hiccups along the way. I'm doing that for you, right? So you can do what you love to do. Okay. So it's a really, really important set of things to think about and to do. Okay. But you all gotta start thinking about and doing those things because it's just what I find to be amazing. So anyway, hopefully some of y'all went out and saw Black Panther. I did. I'm not trying to be all extra commercial, but I enjoyed the movie. FYI, I enjoyed the movie. And My first appearance is right there. I did enjoy the movie though. I really did. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it set up a few things for the future. It was really nice. If you haven't seen it, I'm not spoiling it. I'm not spoiling it. So anyway, but yeah. Being able to run those experiments, learning, and actually course correcting is such a major. It's such a major thing. It's such a major thing. I mean, it's almost crazy. The I just you know what I just finished, y'all. I finished this whole I finished this crazy little coaching program. I mean, I wore me out, man. I got wore out last the past 11 weeks. I was dying in this PhD program. Like they was kicking my royal behind up and down the street 2 times on a Sunday. So it was crazy. So I'm like, this is not good. Whole situation, right? So Patrick says he enjoyed the movie. This is good. See, I got more than one person that enjoyed it. This is good. No spoilers. We not, no spoilers. We're not giving any spoilers, right? Do not say anything that happened during the movie. That's not what we do here. We not the movie critic channel. We don't do that. Okay. So no spoilers. We're not saying nothing. Just enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the movie very much so. And being one of these comic book fanatics like I am, when I was one of those ones I was waiting for, man. But no spoilers. We're not gonna do any spoilers, okay? So we won't do that for anybody. So don't throw anything in the chat. Otherwise, we're gonna kick you out the building. I throw these idle threats out. But sometimes they actually work. Sometimes they actually do work. It is what it is. Nah, I just be enjoying myself, But yeah, I definitely enjoyed that little time. And boy, I'm tell you, man, just life. And see people going through stuff, man. It's crazy. Um, yeah, no. My statement is, I'm gonna tell y'all something, right? People complain about all kinds of things, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm just grateful for just almost every part of life, right? So people making content just so me to be to go to the movies and pay a little bit of money to see. I'm happy about that, right? When COVID happened, we didn't have none of that. We ain't had none of that. So I'm like super happy y'all making some movies of some kind, right? So you just get all kinds of accolades from me. Let's see. Oh, you were in my class this week. Glad you showed up. Yeah, Miss Fabian, how you doing there? Um, as a Scrum Master, how impactful was Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland? Well, I'm gonna say this to you, because I love them both. But I took my class with Ken Schwaber and then took my class with Jeff Sutherland a while after. Okay. Um, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. I remember, like, okay, so my journey to Scrum was through a guy named Tom Meller. I'm at State Farm, right? And we inside of this waterfall, learn a new waterfall process that everybody's going to do meeting, right? We have a whole 5-day class where we're learning it. And Tom pulls me aside, he's like, we're not doing this. Go, you need to go learn Scrum. You need to go here. You need to take the class with this guy, and you're good, right? And so I ended up going to Chicago and taking the class with Ken. When I tell you that man motivated me to such unrealistic heights, it was unreal. I had never seen anybody in my life that was willing to stand up to organizations, like these big organizations, and stand up to them and say, y'all are wrong. Y'all are doing this wrong. You know you're doing it wrong. Let's get it right, right? And just to have the gump to really go and be like, look, I delivered software in 30 days or less. Like that was a statement. It's calling card, right? And so when I say to you, he motivated me to become a certified Scrum trainer, right? Because I just remember seeing him in front of the room and like 100 people in the room and pin drop, right? And I just appreciated it so much because, everybody can't say that they have Ken and Jeff, both them have certified you to some degree. And I, Ken's way of talking is so flipping, almost controversial to some degree, but not controversial in such a bad way, controversial in a change kind of way. Um, and just dogmatic about it, right? And so when I sat there and I just listened to Ken, I took it in, I'll be honest with you, I don't remember nothing about the class. I remember nothing, but I remember his presence. I just remember how strong that was to me, and I said to myself, one day I'm gonna do that, and years later, I remember, like probably around 2007 or whatever it is, I went to a scrum gathering, and I, ran into Ken, and he mentioned about me becoming a trainer, and I was too scared. I was too scared. I was like, I can't be like you, man. Is what I was thinking. I'm like, I cannot be like you, you know. And then I really didn't pursue becoming a trainer until like 2013. But that's how, how you place people on these pedestals. I placed Ken on that kind of pedestal. And then when you go talk to Jeff Sutherland, matter of fact, I'm gonna give you all a secret. Lizzie, my business partner, she is doing an event, a gratitude event. Hear me out. She's doing a gratitude event, and Jeff Sutherland's gonna show up. Did you hear what I just said? Lizzie is doing a gratitude event, and Jeff Sutherland is gonna show up to the gratitude event. Like, seriously, okay? Seriously. Lizzie has a closer relationship to Jeff than I do. I got a closer relationship to Ken. Um, and so if y'all interested in that, y'all should type it in the chat or something like that, or send me an email, team@bearded eagle, and let me know you're interested. And I'll make sure you get hooked up into that, because and she does it from 4:30 to 6:30 all week. Gratitude, attitude, what's your next best move, or whatever it is, right? And so she's doing some great stuff there, and it's all that content that she's doing right now is free. So if you want to experience Jeff, I'm giving a slight plug here because you may be interested in seeing that. Jeff Sutherland, I find him to be a lot more reserved. Jeff Sutherland's brain is amazing. Like, it's amazing. Like, you know how you run into people in a lifetime and they have all these crazy stories, like you really was there. Like, I've had mentors that's been like, yeah, I was walking down the street with Martin Luther King, and we ran into Malcolm X, and we shot some dice on the street. You know, it's crazy stuff like that, right? And so Jeff is one of those guys with such an interesting brain, because Jeff, like, was in a war and he was shooting down planes. Jeff, talking about OODA loops and things like this. Jeff is just Jeff has had one of those kind of lives, man, that is just like, wow, man, it's good to shake your hand. It's just good to shake your hand. So Jeff is just somebody I love listening to. His book, like, twice the amount of work in less the time. It's a red book. It's a dope book. But yeah, man, I find them both to be extremely impressive. And if you really, really just go and take it a little bit further than that, name some other people from the actual Agile signing of the Agile Manifesto. Name some. Name some. I mean, literally, just think about it for a second, right? Name some other people from the Agile Manifesto that is more popular than Ken and Jeff Sutherland. You're not going to be able to name too many people. It's going to be mostly opinion based, but there's not too many that signed the Agile Manifesto that's more popular than Ken and Jeff. And it's not a popularity contest, but understand, they're well known. So for me, um, I feel like I stand on their shoulders. And one of the reasons why I say in my classes, you can't embarrass me, is because if you standing on my shoulders and you embarrass me, you embarrassing them. It's the way I look at it. And when it comes down to Ken, I consider Ken to be like my great godfather in Scrum, because the guy who introduced me to Scrum, Tom Meller, he was like working so close with Ken, and then became the once Ken Ken left the Scrum Alliance, he became the director of the Scrum Alliance right after Ken. And so, Tom is amazing, and just another guy who I just as a kid, when I was getting into Scrum, I was young, man. I was a kid. It was, I mean, I've been in Scrum since 2005. So, in 3 years, it'll be, 20 years, right? That I've been involved with Scrum, right? That's crazy for me to say that. But I literally got involved with Scrum like October 2005. That's when I got my certification. I clearly remember it. And I clearly remember the money I spent going to that dang on hotel. I clearly remember the investment I made in myself. I clearly remember the company not supporting me. I clearly remember, the organizations not knowing what the heck Scrum was, and they felt like it was a nasty word. I clearly remember all that, all that. It was an interesting time. They told me go to Scrum Gathering. I just got in my car and I drove to the Scrum Gathering. That was in Denver. I was at the Scrum Gathering when it was like 42 people. I was at the first or the second one. I don't know which one I was at. And I just been around that community since. I just fell in love with them. I just met people, and you see these people that's written these books and stuff like that, like Mike Cohn and Kenny Rubin and Lisa Atkins, and these are people that I know. They know me. I know them. I don't talk to them every day, but I know them. They know me. And I've sit down and have conversations with them, and this wonderful, wonderful, great people, right? This agile community is such a unique community. Um, and I won't say that the creators of the Agile Manifesto created it to create this kind of community. I don't think they tried to create this kind of tribe. But the result of it was a tribe that is interested in helping other members of the tribe be successful. Like, you don't run into too many things like that, right? You can go right now on LinkedIn and go to one of those Agile groups and throw a question in there. You'll get 10, 20 answers depending on how big the group is, and you be getting them all night long, right? And this is just a very unique community, so it's like I haven't seen a community like this at all, right? So I think it's a wonderful place to be. I have been able to nourish my brain in such ways that's unreal, right? And my brain is always active. I always have to stay on my toes. And that's the reason why I can go get a PhD right now, why I can go through those classes at this point, is because my whole career in terms of being involved with Scrum has been a very active brain that's been always problem solving, always trying to make things work. And even when we think it's perfect, even finding a way to even make it better, is what constantly is going through my mind. So I just think this was, Scrum is something that fell in my lap, man. I can't say I sought it out. I mean, I heard about extreme programming before, and I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? When Tom told me, man, go get that certification, I looked at him and said, dude, you crazy? This thing costs $1,500, and I can do this for free. Like, you gonna tell me to go pay for a certification that I can do the dang on thing for free? I don't need a certification to do the thing. But I'm telling you, standing in front of Ken Schwaber, man, he changed my life. He changed my life. I saw that dude and was just like, wow, that's crazy. One day I'm gonna train. One day I'm gonna do what he doing. One day I'm gonna be able to stand in front of people and just be able to give my truth. You understand? Be able to just legitimately give my truth. And so now I can do that. And so hopefully I've inspired a couple people, in my journey. And if I have, then I would feel really, really good. If I haven't, hang around me a little bit then. Sooner or later, you're going to get inspired by something. That is so crazy. No, no, no. I love it, man. I love it. So you all, yeah, Fabian, that was a great question. I don't always get to talk about that. But yeah, it was an experience. I've definitely had some experiences in this game. So, um, one day the book will come out. One day the book will come out. All right. One day. We'll see. So on that note, I'm going to say to you all, it's about that time. We've had an amazing, wonderful time at this point. And it's been just really, really, really super enjoyable. Oh, it's funny. Don't worry about that. Everybody pronounce my name however they pronounce it. I don't worry about it. I'm going to say like this. My mama called me Devon. That's what she say. But it's Devin, Devon, it doesn't matter. We all good. So no worries about that. We're cool. As long as you say something, we're good. So again, as I'm always reminded by Ms. P. Bell there, please like and subscribe. Please make sure that this channel is known to other people. We have good topics. We talk about good information, and it doesn't cost you anything to like and subscribe. This way, Google and LinkedIn can present this to other great people that we want to have join our community. And the community is growing. So every day we're growing, people are subscribing. And at some point, we're going to outgrow this. We ain't never going to. We're going to still do this. We're going to be gangster with it. Anyway, that being said, I love y'all. I do appreciate y'all. Thank you for showing up. Um, you know, Next week we're gonna do the same thing. I have no clue about the topic. I normally send the topic out the day before. So if you want to know what's going on, that's where you just gotta make sure you subscribe. So, you're welcome, and so you all know as well. All you all the certified Scrum Masters in here, you earn a Scrum education unit from attending an event like this. Continuing education, right? You earn that. Okay? You earn that. Okay? Lizzie's live is about gratitude. It's gratitude and appreciation with Lizzie. So that's what it is, right? So that's what it is. Gratitude, attitude is what the live event is about. And Jeff Sutherland is going. I'm telling you, Jeff is going to be on. It's really, really, really amazing. So I was there today, and it was some good information. Okay. All right, y'all. So look, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. Enjoy. We're gonna be on next week. So just come on and get ready. We're gonna continue having these conversations. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you soon. Peace. I love you all. Talk to you later.